As most of you know, this show was launched this year. It's just a baby, but I'd like to think we've punched a bit above our weight. We've worked so hard to bring you the best guests, the big names, and some really powerful stories. So let's take a little look back over the past 6 months. A weather emergency we've seen far too often this year. Homes, businesses, and livelihood shattered by another record flood.
You feel helpless, you don't know what to do. Yeah, you're just kind of speechless with what do I do? Like, who's going to help me?
I can't fathom how Russia was under threat from Ukraine. Can you explain that to me?
Very easily. Vladimir Putin could see that Ukraine doesn't exist as an independent country. Now it's occupied by United States of America and Britain.
I mean, you have to respect a country's right to lead and to rule in their own right. You can't make a decision on behalf of Ukraine because you don't like it. You can't invade because you don't like that. It doesn't make sense to me.
When I have to see the evidences of these new war crimes, these new atrocities, something breaks in me. Something breaks in me, but makes me and the rest of the Ukrainian people more determined to continue to fight. You win this war by embracing a very simple truth of life, that courage is stronger than fear.
We say goodbye, my mother and my husband. We all cried, yes, and all people cried. We don't know when we can see our family.
They are worried about the risk. That if your grandchildren have been exposed to ISIS beliefs and if your daughter still has extremist beliefs, that maybe that's not a risk worth taking. Can you understand that?
They're going to come back sooner or later. My grandson is going to come back to Australia where he's 5, 15 or 25. He will come back to Australia. He is Australian with no other nationality. There is no right to deny their return under Australian law or international law. There is no basis to actually stop them returning.
The Yazidi community has been very unhappy about this decision. And just imagine to see that people who killed your family and your sisters and brothers and fathers, how are you going to feel?
Curtis Cheng, who was assassinated. He was actually assassinated by a 15-year-old Middle Eastern migrant who had been radicalised here in Sydney, in Australia. So when we look at the word children and boy and innocent, how innocent was the 15-year-old that did that to Curtis Cheng?
I'm not an insider to the Australian intelligence services, but I have spoken at length to the intelligence and security communities in Australia. And I am 100% sure that all of the security measures that are needed are being put in place.
Do you have any faith that any of the outrage around the world now, the domestic condemnation that's occurring within Iran, will make any difference at all?
Well, I think that this particular instance is quite special in a sense that this is the first time that we've seen this become like being heard on a global scale, and it just grows every day. After, it's been more than 40 years of the Islamic regime in power, and every day they're just getting more and more fed up.
Other countries like Canada, Germany, the US have done so much more than Australia on this, and there is a lot more that the Australian government could do if it so chose, if it wanted to actually back up its support for human rights with more than words and actually take some meaningful action.
Scott Morrison and the events of the past week, what are your thoughts?
Oh, it was bizarre. It was just wrong. Sorry. He's the Prime Minister. We've got a Westminster system. It was sneaky. I don't know what the motivation was other than hubris. It's just unforgivable, it's unfathomable, it's a complete breach of trust with the ministers.
I love this country. I think we are the greatest country on earth. But together, we can be even better in the future. And I'm really optimistic about what we can do.
Yeah, I think that that humanity, that vulnerability is what keeps us going and what drives us after work and busy lives to continue coming back. But we're on a mission and we've got a goal. It's ensuring that healthcare is accessible for anyone and everyone. And the fortunate thing about Streetside Medics is hundreds of volunteers have bought into that vision.
Mm-hmm. And he took one step, half a step forward, and he got a bullet straight through his temple. Or through his brain, I'm sorry, and he was dead before he hit the ground. There was 22 of us, and now I'm the only one left. And nobody asked those 21 men, were they all right? Did they need any help?
Are you all right, Reg?
Till of night time.
Yeah.
You want me to break some news here on Sky News Australia? Is that what we're doing here?
Australia. No one will
I have no announcements to make. I think my father-in-law is going to make an announcement if and when the time comes that he decides that's something he wants to do. I can tell you this, though. The American people have never been more eager for Donald Trump to get in a race.
Would you like to see him at any stage back in the White House?
You know, I'd like to see him in the big house. I don't want to see him in the White House. I mean, come on, the guy's a joke. He lost the election, but was such a baby about it, he couldn't admit that he'd lost the election.
They call you High Rise Harry. Do you like that name?
Yeah, I am Harry.
What do you want in 100 years people to look back and say when they talk about Harry Triguboff?
I have no interest in that at all.
Don't care at all?
No. While I'm here, that's what I care.
And what about our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese? Have you met him, first of all?
No, I haven't, no.
Will you meet him at some stage? Surely.
Well, I hope so. And
well, I mean, Shaquille O'Neal met him. Surely you're up there.
Who?
Errol, you are the father of the richest man in the world. Does that sit comfortably with you?
Well, yes. You know, I think I said 20 years ago, at least 20 years ago, I said Elon won't stop until he's #1 financially in the world. I said that years ago. So, you know, I fully expected this.
Can you just teach me to sing a line?
No more talk of darkness. Forget these wide-eyed fears. Might be a little bit lower.
I might try the low bit.
Okay.
No more tears of darkness. Was that good?
Stunning.
Stunning. Just honestly.
Do you feel threatened?
I used to travel the world solo like that and play these enormous outdoor arenas and without any kind of monitors or anything. I was on fire. I mean, I was just couldn't wait to play that guitar.
What's your process?
I'm very disciplined. I rise at 5:30 in the morning and start working at 6. I do 6 to 8, 10 to 12, 2 to 4, 6 to 8. Back in bed by 10. The first draft will be 50 days, about 300 hours. And what you have in front of you is the 14th draft of Next in Line. And it's about 1,000 hours that has taken. I wish it got easier, but even in old age, I'm still doing 14 drafts of every book.
I don't think I have a favourite because we are not fans. We did the show and we're in the show. We filmed it, and if I watch it, I tend to remember, oh, that's the time when we were filming up in this place and it rained, or we wrote a song, or we had a drink. I mean, we went to the pub. So I have a different perspective on the whole thing. I must say I haven't really seen it, and sometimes when I see it, it actually makes me laugh because I've forgotten everything about it, and I like that.